A portion of this video is sponsored by SONICFOAM. The Bowers & Wilkins Pi8 S2 were a bit of a letdown. Out of 26 earbuds, I still have them ranked last with a score of 67.5 out of 100. The main issues being an uncomfortable fit, poor battery life, lacking controls, minimal customization. A lot was wrong. They do sound good and have solid noise cancelling, but that's about it. So their latest flagship, the Pi8, are here to redeem themselves. But the retail price in Australia is $599. I assume it'll be about $499 US. So at that price, you really need to nail every category, and I'm going to be covering a total of 10 categories today. As usual, I'm scoring and ranking them in all of these categories, and you can customize the scoring with my free spreadsheet linked down below. I'll explain more about that later though. So let's start with category 1, comfort, and this was one of the Pi8 S2's biggest issues. The ergonomics were just strange, as you can tell by the shape of the bud, and I know a lot of people that had issues with the fit. I would get discomfort after about 30 minutes of use. But with the Pi8, now it's just a normal looking earbud with normal ergonomics, you get a normal fit. It has a very light feel in the ear canal, minimal suction and pressure, and they should work for most ears. If you do have smaller ears though, it might not work amazingly since the bud is not super compact. But you do get 4 sizes of ear tips now, which do favor smaller ears. My only complaint is that the jump from medium to large is quite dramatic. A size in between would have worked better for me. Or you could just chuck on some foam tips from today's sponsor, SONICFOAM. These tips are comprised of high quality memory foam that shapes to your ear canal, improving the seal, which with every earbud I test, always improves the noise cancelling. In some cases, also the sound quality. I use a medium size here, which is equivalent to most large ear tip sizes, and they fit in the case on the Pi8 nice and easily. There are plenty of sizes and nozzle diameters to choose from, so click the link below to grab yourself some SONICFOAM ear tips. Now to wrap up comfort, I'm scoring the Pi8 an 8 out of 10. Overall, a massive improvement over the S2. And I do score most buds an 8 unless there's a real obvious advantage or disadvantage. So that's going to be the same with category 2, which is the security of the fit. The Pi8 getting another 8 out of 10. There is a small wing that's built into the earbud, so you can't take this off, but it does add some extra grip. In my weight training session, the buds stayed in fine. I had to readjust a couple of times, but with weight training, you're all good. When running, they also work really well with a minimal amount of body-borne noise from the impact you make on the ground and your own heavy breathing, reverberating into the ear tips. And when you have the transparency mode on, which you'll probably want to use when you're running so you can hear surroundings easily, the mics pick up a very minimal amount of wind noise, which is quite rare. And if you like using your earbuds when training, the buds have an IP54 dust and water resistant rating. Now, category 3 is case and battery life. And you get an advertised 6.5 hours with the buds, 20 hours in total with the case, and that's with noise cancelling on. That's a massive improvement over the Pi8 S2's 4 hours with the buds, 17 hours in total. In terms of fast charge, I have no specific specs on it, so assume it's going to be similar to the S2's 15 minutes, giving you 2 hours of playback on the earbuds. The case also has wireless charging. It is slightly thicker than the S2, but overall it's a more compact case, so it's easily pocketable. But compared to the AirPods Pro 2, that's the thinnest case that I've tested. You can notice the extra thickness of the Pi8. So the overall score here is a 7, since the total battery life is on the lower side. Some buds go up to 30 hours with noise cancelling on, but a 2.5 hour improvement over the S2 was well needed. And if you want to compare all these nitty gritty details, it's all in my spreadsheet linked below. Now onto category 4, controls. Now the controls here have been improved over the S2 when used in cold weather or if water gets on the touch surface. I never noticed this in my testing, I just didn't have this come up, but it's supposed to be improved now. And you're sort of able to control everything. These are the controls that you're getting out of the box. So if you want to add in volume control, you won't be able to use your noise cancelling or voice assistant control, since you can only set that to the long hold on the left and right earbud. And sadly, you can't customize any of the other controls. At least you can add volume controlling now, which you couldn't do on the S2. The wearing detection has also been improved since they use IR sensors now. So on the S2, when I would take both earbuds out and put them on my desk, for example, it would think the earbud is in your ear and your music will start to resume, where that no longer happens on the Pi8. And you can still turn the wearing detection off in the app. If you want to turn noise cancelling off though, you have to go into the app to do this. By default, you can only switch between noise cancelling on and transparency mode using your touch controls, which is a long hold on the left earbud. Still, this is a massive improvement over the S2 because by default, you have to switch between noise cancelling on and off on the earbuds. To turn transparency mode on, you have to go into the app. Then once you did that, you could only turn transparency mode on and then I think transparency mode off using the touch controls. It was a bit of a mess. It's a bit better now. So I'm scoring them a 7 out of 10. They are massively improved over the S2, but a lot of earbuds give you full customization and the ability to control everything, including volume on the earbuds. Now, category 5 is connectivity. And you're getting the latest Bluetooth 5.4 here, all the codecs you need, SBC, AAC, aptX adaptive, and aptX lossless. You didn't get lossless on the S2, so if you want to use lossless, you can do that now. In my testing, using high res or lossless, there's really not too much of a difference, but if you want to use it, it's there. But you are getting multi-point connection now, which you didn't get on the S2, so you can connect 2 devices to the earbuds at the same time. You just need to pause playback on one device before you resume it on your other device, so it doesn't have multi-point takeover, which a lot of earbuds are starting to get now. Now you can use one earbud at a time while you leave the other in the case, but when you're using one earbud, it's not going to work in mono mode, so you're not going to hear the left and right audio channel when you are using one earbud at a time. If you're using the left earbud, you're going to only hear the left audio channel. Using the right earbud, you're only going to hear the right audio channel. And the case audio transmission has returned from the Pi8 S2. So you can plug your case into any device with the included USB-C to auxiliary cable, or any USB-C to USB-C cable will work as well. And it's going to stream aptX adaptive low latency via the auxiliary cable and aptX adaptive high res 24-bit 96 kilohertz if you go USB-C to USB-C. So if you want super low latency, close to 150 milliseconds, plug in via auxiliary, and that's about as low as latency does get via Bluetooth. Even if you use an auxiliary to USB-C dongle, you'll still get the lowest latency. And I tested this on my iPhone 15 Pro. So they're getting a 9 out of 10 for connectivity. So they're tied there with the Technics AZ80. They have the advantage of allowing you to connect 3 devices to the earbuds at the same time, but you get the case transmission on the Pi8, so it depends on what you're looking for there. Might be a big selling point for you because not many earbuds have it. I think a Bud from LG has it, but that might be it. Now, category 6 is call quality, and I run through 3 tests here: a quiet room, simulation crowd noise, and a simulation windy city with construction noise. That's a very tricky test. Then I take the average score of all 3 tests. But a couple things to cover first: you can't mute your microphone using the touch controls. You can only answer a call, decline a call, and end a call using the touch controls. You are able to switch between noise cancelling and transparency when you're on a call though. Surprisingly, a lot of earbuds don't allow this. And the overall call quality, it's very similar to the Pi8 S2, so they're getting the same score of 7 out of 10. Quiet room and crowd noise, it's okay. When it comes to the windy city test though, they really do struggle. So I'll leave you some samples here comparing the Pi8 to the S2 and the highest ranked earbud, the Beats Studio Buds Plus. All right, here's the Bowers & Wilkins Pi8 S2 in a quiet room. All right, here's the Bowers & Wilkins Pi8 in a quiet room. All right, here's the Beats Studio Buds Plus in a quiet room. All right, now let's see how the microphones block out some simulation crowd noise. All right, here's the Pi8 S2 with some simulation crowd noise. All right, here's the Bowers & Wilkins Pi8 with some simulation crowd noise. All right, here's the Beats Studio Buds Plus with some simulation crowd noise. All right, now I've got some construction noise, some city noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here's the Pi8 S2 with some city noise, construction noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here's the Pi8 with some city noise, construction noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here's the Beats Studio Buds Plus with some city noise, construction noise, and some simulation wind. All right, category 7 is app customization and extra features. So you can get the Bowers & Wilkins app on iOS or Android. And it's very bare bones. You get your earbud and case battery at the top there, your ambient control options, a 5-band EQ, which the S2 did not have. You can check your paired devices. There's the option to add your volume control in, the wearing detection sensor, and that's basically it. So I'm scoring them a 5.5 out of 10, a half point up from the S2 since you are getting the EQ customization, but most earbuds today give you full customization of controls. They have hearing tests. You can customize the noise cancelling and transparency strength, find my buds features, so you're not getting any of that on the Pi8, so just keep that in mind. Now, category 8 is noise cancelling, and how I test my noise cancelling. I chuck on my soundbar and I'm playing simulation plain noise and crowd noise, so I'm getting high, middle, low, consistent as well as inconsistent sounds. And here's the scoring of all the earbuds in my ranking. Now, they did mention that they've improved the noise cancelling algorithm, but I don't really notice much of a difference in my test. This could be due to the new fit. I find the Pi8 S2 just give me a slightly better seal, even with the kind of smaller ear tips than what I would use. And when I'm testing the noise cancelling with all these earbuds, I use the ear tips that give me the best seal and the strongest noise cancelling, but they have to be ear tips that are included in the box. And if you use the large ear tips on the Pi8, I can't really get a proper seal, but you're still getting very solid noise cancelling. It blocks out the plane noise almost completely. I still hear a bit of that hiss. And when it comes to crowd noise, it blocks it out quite well, but those high ranked earbuds do a much better job at crowd noise and more inconsistent sounds. Now, when it comes to white noise hiss with noise cancelling on, there's barely any. You can use noise cancelling on transparency when using one earbud while you leave the other in the case. Just keep in mind, if you're using the right earbud, you're gonna have to go into the app to switch between noise cancelling and transparency, since your ambient control is locked to the long hold on the left earbud. Now, like I said, you can't customize the strength of the noise cancelling. You're also not getting any automatic wind noise reduction, but thankfully the positioning of the mics is quite smart. It's kind of on like the entire outside of the earbud, which is sort of covered. So I found the microphones didn't pick up wind too easily. Now, when it comes to EQ shift, this was a massive problem with the Pi7S2. So EQ shift is how your sound quality changes when you switch between noise cancelling, transparency, and noise cancelling off. So with the Pi7S2, it was like you get a completely different tuning switching between all three modes. Now that's massively been improved here on the Pi8. Going from noise cancelling to transparency, I'm noticing barely any difference. With noise cancelling off, the treble reduces by a couple of percent, but it's barely noticeable. It's about as good as it gets for EQ shift. So I'm glad to see that's been improved. Now onto category 9, the transparency mode. Now the clarity here is great. It's a very natural transparency mode where nothing sounds too amplified. Voices are ever so slightly muffled, but you're still gonna be able to hear a conversation quite well. The white noise hiss has been reduced, so it's quite minimal, and there's much less occlusion now. So when you speak yourself, your own voice doesn't sound too weird, like with a blocked kind of ear effect, which was an issue on the S2. You don't get any customization of the strength of the transparency, which you could do on the S2, so I'm hoping to see this might come later with the firmware update. Like the noise cancelling, there's no automatic wind reduction, but like I said, the mics don't pick up too much wind. So overall score here is an 8.5. That's up from the 7 out of 10 that I gave the S2. So up there with the best transparency modes. But now onto the final round, sound quality. And starting with my max volume test, in my testing, these were much louder than the Pi7S2, which were on the quieter side. But keep in mind, when you venture above 85 decibels, this is when you're kind of in hearing loss territory. So look, if you really need the loudest earbud, you can look at this here, but still a solid improvement on the Pi8. But now onto the sound itself, and Bowers and Wilkins have opted out for the dual dynamic driver and armature driver setup that the Pi7S2 had. They're using a single driver here with a carbon cone diaphragm. What does that mean? I don't really know, but I'm gonna explain the sound. So their focus here was to use just one driver so they could save on battery life, which they did, and they wanted to retain the same great sound, which they also did. I really enjoyed the sound of the S2. It's quite a unique tuning, balanced but sort of on the V-shaped side. The bass was rich, the treble had excellent sparkle, decent soundstage, and a smooth mid-range. My only complaint that the mids were a little bit on the recessed side, and you had no option to EQ the earbuds in the app. Now you're getting a very similar sound on the Pi8, but everything's been tweaked ever so slightly. The upper treble is ever so slightly boosted, so that sparkle is still there, has a bit more airiness, and this also has opened up the soundstage. You still get a smooth mid-range, but it has been boosted ever so slightly, so vocals just have a little bit more presence. The bass has been dialed down ever so slightly. You still get a tasteful amount, but I'm a bit of a bass head, so I like slightly more, but it still sounds pretty clean. So overall, you're getting a natural but pretty bright tuning. A little bit too bright for me. I find the treble doesn't necessarily get harsh, but it can take over at times. It's not really an earbud I would want to use for long listening sessions. But like I said, you get a solid 5-band EQ, so this is my go-to EQ, a slight bass boost, slight mid increase, and I'm just dialing down the treble ever so slightly. And this really retains the stock tuning, but makes it a little bit more dynamic. And they sound great. Like I said, in my S2 review, if they had an EQ, probably would have scored them higher. So that's what you're getting now. So I scored the S2 an 8.5, score on the Pi8 a 9 out of 10. So now they're up there with the best of the best when it comes to sound quality. With my EQ customization, they actually sound very close to the Sennheiser Momentum 4. After I've EQ'd them a lot with their sound personalization. Both have some of the best treble you can get if you like a bit more of a sparkly treble response and you still want a pretty dynamic sound. I'm still giving a slight edge to the Denon Pearl Pro and the Technics AZ80, both with a score of 9.5. Especially the AZ80, they're still my #1 pick, so that's my main comparison here. So the Pi8 does win when it comes to that treble sparkle, kind of airy sound, but the Technics AZ80 soundstage is slightly more open. The mids are much nicer, better instrument separation. Overall, I just prefer the sound, but look, this is just my experience and interpretation of the sound. We all have different preferences, so hopefully my explanation will help you decide what pair is going to work the best for you. But that wraps up all 10 categories, and before we go into the final score, this is just my scoring system. Like I said, it just helps me keep track of all the minor details comparing all the earbuds. So if it helps you out as well, that's great. So you can download that spreadsheet for free and it's linked below. And on there you have notes for each score. You can compare all the specs. There's a core quality tab with each of the 3 scores, and the personalized scoring is super simple. Just fill out a number in the importance column. That's going to multiply the entire category, giving you a new total score for all the earbuds. But now the final scores are in, and the Pi8 finished with 77 out of 100, so they're currently ranked 8th. Not bad, but not an amazing score. But it is almost a 10-point improvement over the Pi7S2. So they do win the Most Improved award. They basically improved everything. So kudos to Bowers and Wilkins for sorting out all those issues. But does this make them worth their high price tag? I'm gonna say no, unless you really prioritize that case transmission, or you really find the sound works for you, because there are tons of better all-round earbuds you can get, like the Technics AZ80. You can probably get them a lot cheaper as well. So check out my full review here. Quick shout out to all my channel members and supporters on Ko-fi. Really appreciate the support. So thanks for tuning in. Stay picky, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.